And when you make that decision, it's like an explosion went off in me. It's like the Spirit just... I started out my life really from a family of nothing but athletics and athletes. So I decided to take up weightlifting, bodybuilding, things like that. And I was raised Catholic. As I started getting closer and closer to God, it's almost like I started making more progress in my weightlifting and things like that started pulling me away and made me more interested in myself, in my goals and reaching those. So I didn't have a good grounding, so to speak, of God. I prayed that, He would help me in my endeavors, help me in things I had wanted, and the goals that I had strived for, but it seems like the more and more I got into them, the less and less He came into my life, for the simple fact that what I was doing, I was centering myself around everything and leaving Him out of a lot of stuff, backburnering Him quite a bit. But I had won several bodybuilding titles, several powerlifting titles, and the more I got into that life, the less there was of God. And although I would pray to Him, I was finding out that the Father doesn't like someone who says something and does quite the opposite. The guy that wandered into the gym one day and said, why are you doing this the hard way? There's always steroids, there's things like that. And man, I signed up. I said, where do I sign? I'll take anything. And then other aphorisms like, the more you take, the better it is. And unfortunately, that is true. And so I was going off on a tangent where, I thought I was bulletproof, taking all kinds of steroids, taking everything to make me bigger, stronger, better, faster, whatever. I didn't see any stopping, and I didn't want to stop. The odd thing was I always knew God's presence was there because of the free agency that He gives us. He wanted me to desire Him. And every time I would, the adversary would be there to kind of put a stop to it. I'd start trying and trying, but every time I did, like I said, he'd be there with some type of a temptation of sorts, and I would go wayward again. I had to get myself more together, and as I started doing that, the heat got turned up, but he took my daughter away. Broke up, I was in a bad marriage to begin with. He broke it all apart. Left me jobless, without a home, and basically stripped me down, chopped me down to where I had nothing but Him. And that's where He was first trying to get my attention. And I met Kathy, my wife. She told me she has a LDS. And I said, I don't even know what that is. I had no idea. The only thing that kept coming to mind was a house divided would not stand. So I didn't want the kids thinking I was going here, they were going there. It just wouldn't work out that way. So I decided to get a little more serious about the church. And I'd been seeing some missionaries. They had been coming and teaching me about it. I would ask a lot of questions and ask questions over those questions. And why this, why that? Why do you believe this way? I learned a lot from them. I guess for me, I needed to really be convinced of it. So under that, I kept praying about it. And the whole time, God was trying to get my attention. He's trying to tell me, I'm teaching you everything. You're just being too objective about it. Just lay back, let me talk, and listen. And I went up one day the stairs to go to my office, and I couldn't breathe. I literally was so short of breath, it was crazy. I mean, I didn't know what was going on, but it was enough to know that something was wrong. And by the time I got to ER, my breathing became so labored that I can't tell you much after that. I woke up in ICU with tubes coming out everywhere. We had prayed, and I started noticing things like this, like I was getting help from the church, a church which I'd yet to actually formally join. And I started remembering, things in my past. It's like real friends are there when you're most helpless. Those guys showed up everywhere. I mean, they were here to help. They were here to help with the house, help with anything. And it was then that I kept praying, and I started praying more earnestly. It's almost like I expected God to give me a flat-out answer. The clouds would part, and volcanoes, things like that, and it'd be a huge voice from heaven saying, listen up. But My daughter's birthday was August 1st, and this was 2018. And I'd gone to work. She and Kathy had planned on, Kathy was taking her to some concert she wanted to see. And then I remember waking up on the floor, looking at the lights above and seeing everybody around my office looking at me, and I had no earthly idea what had happened. And I'll tell you what, it was God shaking me, saying, have I got you now? I've got your attention now. And I knew it. There's this intrinsic feeling, you know, when you know something is for real, when you know something's just, there's no mistaking it. You can't explain it, you can't deduce it, you just know it. I mean, I'm going from wondering who's going to win what game on TV to am I going to see tomorrow? And they did an MRI, and it was indeed a tumor. That was when I realized, you know, God wanted to talk. He wanted my attention, he wanted an undivided attention, and he needed me to listen and to learn. And he spoke, and he said, enough with the lukewarm water, make a decision. Do you want to join my church? I am here for you, I want to help you, but I've given you free agency. I want to give you everything you need. I want to help you, I want to love you, I want to hold you. And loud and clear I got that message. It was so distinct, and I had decided this time when I got out, I would heed every word that the Father had given to me. Heed it well, learn it, grow, live with it, and expand on it. And when you make that decision, it's like an explosion went off in me. It's like the Spirit just, it's like I've been dwelling here forever. You've just had to open the door. I've been knocking. You gotta let me in. And it was amazing, the feeling I got. Well, I don't even remember how much later it was, but I'd gotten baptized. And coming up out of the water, I mean, I still had the staples in the back of my head, and coming up out of the water was, you know, the revelation I got was, you were the wayward son, you have found your way home, welcome. And I never felt a warmer feeling, even in the cold water, but God has really taken care of us. He's taken care of us as a family. He's brought us closer as a family. There's a great deal to be said about a little seed of faith that you finally let bloom. I can't express to everybody out there enough, you know, to just, you've got to have faith.